Hi everyone. As discussed in my previous video about use of initial phrase pairs in Bach's chorales, often inclusion of accidentals in the chorale melody or other parts does not necessarily mean a modulation has been affected, but simply that a single chord is being coloured, a secondary chord or chords are being used to colour another chord, or another key is briefly tonicized. Complete or partial passages where accidentals are included, therefore, may be tonally unclear and can often be analysed in two keys simultaneously. As we'll see, in this chorale, despite the melody not including any accidentals, in other parts Bach often uses them to create interesting tonal implications. The initial phrase ends on B-flat major's dominant, which is preceded by its own secondary dominant 7th chord. Immediately after the cadence, Bach introduces B-flat major's dominant 7th, which resolves in 4/2 inversion in what appears to be an interrupted cadence to G minor. The expected diatonic G minor chord, however, includes its own 7th and a flattened 5th degree, thereby sounding as a G half diminished 7th chord in 4/3 inversion. This chord then moves to a secondary F-sharp diminished 7th chord, also in 4/3 inversion, which then resolves as expected to G minor harmony at the cadence. The G half diminished 7th chord is unexpected, as it neither behaves as a secondary chord, acting as the leading note half diminished 7th chord in the key of A-flat major, nor the supertonic half diminished 7th chord in F minor. Bach therefore appears to be using this chord purely as a colour chord, leading to the following F-sharp diminished 7th harmony. Bach's inclusion of apparent interrupted cadences where, as here, the expected submediant chord is altered is a technique he will use again later in this chorale. After the second cadence, Bach precedes this G minor chord with its own dominant 7th and then moves to G minor's minor dominant. Before and after this cadence, the chord of G minor is preceded by its own leading note diminished 7th and dominant 7th chords. However, a full modulation is not necessarily felt, as this G minor chord can be heard as a pivot, which together with the following chords could be analysed as belonging to the key of F major. Through these quarter note beats, the key of F major is probably felt more strongly, with Bach preceding the tonic chord with its own dominant 7th and dominant chord. After the cadence, however, B-flat major appears to be reintroduced, with Bach using this passing progression between two B-flat major chords. The following cadence, however, is again on F, thereby casting doubt as to the actual key. Is it a continuation of the key of F major, or has the work moved back into B-flat major? The next cadence doesn't clarify this, as Bach introduces a B-flat dominant 7th chord, which then moves to E-flat dominant 7th harmony before resolving as expected to an A-flat major chord at the cadence. Immediately after this cadence, Bach uses the same interrupted cadence idea from bars 1 and 2, although here the F dominant 7th chord is in first inversion, as is the subsequent G dominant 7th harmony. G dominant 7th harmony is followed by an A dominant 7th chord, which resolves as an interrupted cadence in D minor to submediant first inversion B-flat major harmony. Here then Bach treats the G and A dominant 7th chords as diatonic subdominant and dominant 7th harmony from the ascending D melodic minor scale. Together with the initial F dominant 7th chord, their third degrees move in a series of sixths with the melody, with D minor's tonic chord then being briefly sounded here before this incomplete E half diminished 7th chord moves through F sharp diminished 7th harmony to this G minor chord. The incomplete E half diminished 7th and F sharp diminished 7th chords can be heard as the diatonic submediant and leading note chords from the ascending G melodic minor scale, which together are here sounding as secondary chords to G minor, B-flat major's submediant. From the G minor chord, the key of B-flat major now becomes re-established, with Bach here preceding B-flat major's minor dominant 7th and minor subdominant with their own secondary dominant 7th chords. The minor subdominant is then used to form a plagal cadence to conclude the work. I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. See you next time.